Hi, we're going to have our clients and attorneys come over in just a minute. We can get going. Is everybody ready?
Let me get a photo on mic check.
Sure, if you want to get focus or audio, mic check.
Did you get this off Amazon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Hey, you can do a mic check too.
Mic check. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, good. We'll have them come on over.
Yeah, give me a
Yeah, sure.
mic.
Can you hear well?
Say 1, 2, 3.
This is 1, 2, 3, Institute for Justice press conference.
Yeah, you'll get that down there, that part of the state. The Golden Triangle. I love the Golden Triangle. Yeah. What's going on, sir? We call it the Maroon.
Can I twist this a little? Can I twist this a little? Like, so we're not.
I'm doing it. Yeah, that's
I just don't want to be running into
Oh,
this.
It's a good spot. Bring it up.
All right, let. It's okay when one person steps up to sort of shift to the side.
Y
So
si
you can
podemos
still be
movernos a
on.
un lado cuando una de las personas se vayan a...
Let me lower it a little bit for Marcelo.
Is that gonna work?
That should work.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Can you tilt the mic up here?
Okay.
Yeah, do that.
Oh, thanks.
Is that good for everybody?
Say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. See me, hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Everyone ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Jaba Tituashvili. I'm an attorney at the Institute for Justice, a national nonprofit public interest law firm. We bring lawsuits all over the country against local, state, and federal governments to protect constitutional and individual rights, including every person's Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. We're here today to talk about our latest case.
Let me stop for a second. Can you have them stand next to you to your right? Is that okay?
Oh.
Yeah.
Quiero que se mueva hacia la derecha.
Yeah. We could, is that good
That's-
with you?
Está bien.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Today, on behalf of Leo Garcia Venegas, we filed a federal class action lawsuit challenging this administration's wildly unconstitutional policy of sending masked immigration officers to trespass onto private construction sites, snatch up anybody they think looks Latino or Hispanic, and then refuse to let them go, even in the face of a government-issued real ID or other evidence of lawful presence. Basically, it's arrest first, ask questions later, and that's unconstitutional. The results have been predictable. American citizens, green card holders, and other individuals with lawful presence are being snatched up and detained, sometimes violently. That's exactly what happened to our client, Leo Garcia Venegas, twice. My colleague Jared McLean is going to talk a bit more about the case. Mr. Garcia will introduce himself with the help of our certified interpreter, Ms. Romero, and then we're happy to take questions as a group and to do individual interviews.
And can you spell your name?
Sure. First name is Jaba. Last name is Tsigtsuashvili.
And pronounce that once again for us.
Jaba Tituashvili. All good? Thank you.
Hey, thank you for being here. My name is Jared McLean. That's JaredMcclain. I'm also an attorney at the Institute for Justice. We filed this case today to ensure that Americans like Leo are able to go to work and earn an honest living without being arrested for how they look. Twice in the past few months, immigration officers have raided private construction sites and arrested Leo because he fits the general profile that the federal government associates with undocumented workers. As we explain in our lawsuit, the federal government's policy violates the Fourth Amendment in 3 ways. The first is that they are authorizing immigration officers to run onto private construction sites without a warrant or any other lawful justification. These sites are posted with no trespassing signs, surrounded by fences, and as you'll hear, sometimes enclosed structures that the officers are entering without a warrant. Second, once these officers get onto these sites, they're detaining everyone who fits a profile of what they think an undocumented immigrant looks like. They're doing this even though the construction companies have to comply with federal employment verification laws, and there's no reason to suspect that the particular workers on a particular job site have violated these laws. They're essentially random dragnet stops, and once you're detained, it then becomes up to the worker to prove their citizenship. And while that might sound easy to people, it's incredibly difficult to prove your citizenship when the federal government does not accept its own real IDs as proof of citizenship. Alabama only issues driver's licenses to citizens and people with lawful status. The Real ID Act ensures that people only get real IDs if they're citizens or have lawful status. But immigration officers refuse to accept real IDs as proof of citizenship or lawful status. Leo has experienced these unlawful raids twice now. On May 21st, he was working on a private construction site in Foley, Alabama. Officers jumped the black fence on the perimeter of the site, ran directly past the no trespassing sign, and they grabbed all of the workers on the site who looked Latino. They ran past the white and the black workers and only went for the Latino workers. They grabbed Leo, put his hands behind his back, and dragged him to the ground as he yelled, "I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen, stop, I'll show you my papers." They pulled his real ID out of his pocket. They told him it was fake. They put him into handcuffs and they brought him to their waiting car. They took him off his job site and held him at their car for over an hour before an officer finally used Leo's social security number to confirm his citizenship. He had to take about 10 days off work to recover from this incident, and it was only a week or two later before it happened again. On June 12th, in Fairhope, Leo was working inside a nearly finished house by himself, and immigration officers walked by, saw him through the window, thought that he fit a profile, and walked into this house without a warrant, told Leo that he had to go with them. Leo said, "I'm a citizen. Again, I will show you my papers." He went outside, he showed them his real ID, and once again, the officers told him that's not enough. They told him his ID could be fake, and he had to go with them. They brought him out of the development to where their truck was waiting and put him in line and checked his immigration status slowly over the course of about 20 minutes before they released him along with 2 other workers that they had unlawfully detained because they had lawful status. These raids have been traumatizing for Leo, for the people in his community. There have been plenty of news reports about how American citizens and lawful permanent residents are scared to go to work because they're scared that they will be arrested because of their ethnicity, because of what they look like, because of the occupation that they chose. Now I'm going to turn it over to Leo so he can give you some brief comments on what happened to him.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Leonardo García Venegas.
Good morning. My name is Leonardo Garcia Vanegas.
Trabajo solamente en construcción
I only work in construction,
y vivo en Silver Hill, Alabama.
and I live in Cedar Hill, Alabama. Thank you.
We'd be happy to take questions as a group if you all have them.
There was a similar lawsuit in California. I'm sure you're aware, a federal judge issued an order enjoining ICE, from enforcing without probable cause. The Supreme Court, overturned that, let that continue at least for now. Just wondering if this is different than that case, or how you see it.
Yeah, so, obviously the Supreme Court did not give much of an explanation for why it did what it did, so we can't really tell other than Judge Justice Kavanaugh's opinion, but we think that our case is different in several meaningful ways. Our case is limited to protecting private property and people who are working in the construction industry rather than just everyone in the greater Los Angeles area. And we think that when someone has a job in the construction industry and their own private property and their employer has to comply with employment verification requirements, whatever suspicion might exist based on a generalized profile is not enough for the reasonable particularized suspicion that the Fourth Amendment requires.
So perhaps ICE would have more leeway in conducting these kinds of stops in a public setting, but not in private.
Yeah, so I think that they would have more leeway. Whether those stops are still unconstitutional is a different question. But we think regardless of the outcome of those cases, that ICE does not have the authority to go onto private businesses, onto private property, without a reason to suspect that the particular employers on that site or the particular employees on that site have violated immigration laws.
And you're seeking injunctive relief and also monetary.
Yes, so there's basically two parts to the case. The first half is the injunctive case. We filed just asking for an injunction on class-wide basis for construction workers in Alabama who are subject to these policies. And we have also framed that under the Administrative Procedure Act because this is a policy of the Department of Homeland Security that applies to all immigration officers in the country. And because that policy is both unconstitutional and exceeds the officer's authority under the laws passed by Congress and under the regulations passed by the Department of Homeland Security, the court has an obligation to throw out those policies and set them aside. And then the second part of the case is focused on the individual officers and the torts that they committed against Leo during those two stops. And so right now we have claims under Alabama tort law and the Westfall Act, but Leo has also filed his notice of claim under the Federal Tort Claims Act. The government has 6 months to respond to that, and once they deny that claim, we can amend our complaint and have a claim under the FTCA as well.
And would there be qualified immunity issues you'd have to get past?
So qualified immunity doesn't apply in the FTCA context because through the FTCA, the federal government itself assumes liability for the conduct of its officers. So you don't have to worry about whether an individual officer is being held liable because they didn't know that the law was clearly established.
And so the next step for this, would you expect the hearing to be set fairly soon on?
Yes, so we're working on and fully planning to file a motion for preliminary injunction in this case. And once that, we would expect either a hearing or the judge to rule on the papers. But
and you'll file that today or?
No, week or so. We don't have a definitive deadline.
Yeah. Slow, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, my question is just, these raids have been ongoing since late January. Land Up has done reporting, here have done reporting that U.S. citizens who were active on the sites have been detained. This has been happening for 9 months already. Why file a lawsuit now?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, lawsuits like this take a little time to develop. Two, you need to show in order to bring a lawsuit that somebody has been harmed by it and that they're likely to be harmed again in order to get injunctive relief. That takes some ongoing nature. But I think aside from that, one reason that it's been so difficult and you haven't seen more of these lawsuits is because that people who are subject to these raids, even if they're citizens, even if they're lawful permanent residents, they're scared to come forward. They're scared to be targeted. They're scared that it will happen to them again. And yeah, I think that has created a chill on litigation and why we haven't seen more than a few cases like this throughout the country.
Yeah, just following up on that, do you plan to add specific plaintiffs? You said it was a class action.
Yeah.
Are you going to be local to your county and Mobile County? Can you kind of speak on that?
Yeah. So when we file lawsuits like this, we typically hear from people who say, "Oh, this has often happened to me." We vet them, we put them through our process, and if we think that they'd be a good fit for the case, we're always open to considering adding more plaintiffs to a case. But Leo also, his facts, his situation, his circumstances represent an entire class of people, construction workers in Alabama, and we think he's perfectly suited to proceed on behalf of a class-wide basis.
Yeah. Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
How did you guys connect? How did y'all and Leo become aware of each other? Who reached out to who?
Yeah. So Leo's first arrest, you might eventually, you might recognize him. His first arrest went viral, the May 21st arrest, where because there were non-Latino workers on the job site who recorded his arrest, and Leo had some first-person video of his arrest, and that video went viral. And we reached out and said, "Hey, we do this type of work. We'd love to talk to you and see if there's any way that we can help."
And any kind of ruling that you would get here would apply to the Southern District?
Yes. Yeah. So the injunction we're seeking is just district-wide, so it would be the Southern District of Alabama.
Why just district-wide?
Trump versus Casa.
And are you planning other lawsuits in other districts, similar facts?
We are always investigating and talking to people, but this is the only one that's in the that is ready to go and that we're filing right now.
Is Leo able to speak to his emotional state?
¿Quiere decirnos cuál es su estado emocional?
La verdad me siento muy triste
I truly feel very sad
lo que está pasando con estas redadas.
about what is happening with these I'm sorry, roundups.
Pues, finalmente pues siento que no estamos en paz trabajando en la construcción, pues.
I feel like we're not at peace working in the construction.
Y pues no quiero que pase otra vez de nuevo lo que está pasando otra vez.
I don't want this to be happening again and again.
Y pues la verdad sí me siento muy triste y la verdad que
I honestly feel very sad about what's going on, and
y pues en este momento pues estoy hablando con mis abogados sobre esto que está pasando, que no quiero que agarren a alguien más así como yo.
and that's why I'm talking to my attorneys so that they don't take people and do what they did to me.
Sería todo.
That's all.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
And the real ID, this is like the star ID.
Yes. Yeah. So in Alabama, it's a star ID. It differs state by state, but so like even before the Real ID Act, Alabama only issued driver's licenses to people with legal status. But since then, what the Real ID Act is requires states who issue Real IDs, which now is all of them, you have to the state has to certify that they reviewed documents and that the people who are applying for the Real IDs are either citizens or have lawful presence in the country. And if the person is not a citizen, does not have lawful presence, the ID will say it right on it. It'll say this is not valid as a real ID. And so any officer who's looking at one of these should be able to tell within seconds whether or not they have accidentally grabbed someone who is legally allowed to be here.
But they said they thought it was fake?
The first time they said they thought it was fake. The second time they said they couldn't be sure if it was real.
And but that's what is it? I mean, is it because some people here just have the old-fashioned license. Some people got to get the one with the star, I guess.
Yeah. So Leo has a star ID.
Thank you, everybody. If anybody wants to do any individual interviews, we're all here and available, including the interpreter for Leo. You also have our contact information through Mr. Weimer, and we're happy to talk to anybody. Basically, to sum it all up, American citizens and other people here who are lawfully should not be afraid that the federal government is going to snatch them up simply because of the way that they look and the job that they do. Thank you.